commands have been executed. At T-minus 31 seconds, then the ground launch sequencer will hand off to the onboard computers. And Endeavour will be controlling its own countdown for the last 31 seconds. And if anything is not ready, then the handover will not occur at T-minus 31.
PLT OTC, configure fuel cell essential bus source switches.
OTC, PLT, the essential buses are connected to the fuel cell.
Copy.
About another 20 seconds will retract the orbiter access arm from the hatch of Endeavour. T-minus 7 minutes, 30 seconds.
TLS is go for orbiter access arm retract.
Standing by now for the APU pre-start activity, which will be done by pilot Kevin Chilton.
Hand 69. Yeah, observer, recorders are running. PLT OTC, perform APU pre-start.
APU pre-start's in work.
T-minus 6 minutes and counting.
OTC, PLT, APU pre-start is complete with 3 grade talkbacks.
Copy that.
And the next major event then will be the start of the auxiliary power units at T-minus 5 minutes in about 45 seconds. We have no weather issues, so we will be pressing on at T-minus 5. T-minus 5 minutes.
TLS is go for orbiter APU start. PLT OTC, perform APU start.
In work.
Kevin Chilton now flipping 3 switches in the cockpit to start each of the 3 APUs.
Studio reconfigure is complete.
Copy.
Commander Gutierrez has reconfigured the orbiter heaters for launch.
OTC, PLT, APU start is complete. Looks like we have 3 good ones.
Copy that.
And with that word, we're off and running toward a launch at 7:05 this morning, unless the ground launch sequencer sees something that's out of spec. T-minus 4 minutes.
TLS is go for third sequence 4.
Now checking the flight controls of Endeavour. Final check before liftoff of the rudder and elevons, and we'll be checking the main engines. Here we see the main engines gibbling as a final check of steering of Endeavour. The orbiter's now on internal power. And we should be retracting the Gox fin arm, the Gox beanie cap here in about another 10 seconds.
TLS is go for ET, LO2 pressurization. PLT, OTC, clear caution warning memory, verify no unexpected errors.
That's in work.
Fuel cells are on internal reactants. T-minus 2 minutes and counting.
TLS is go for ET, LH2 pressurization. Endeavour OTC, close and lock your visors, negate O2 flow, and via con Dios.
Roger, thanks a lot, Mark, and we'll see you in about 10 days.
Copy that.
Caution warning memory is clear, no unexpected anomalies, OTC.
Copy that.
T-minus 90 seconds. T-minus 1 minute. Now turning off the joint heaters on the solid rocket boosters. Now we'll be turning off the strut heaters on the external tank. T-minus 45 seconds, standing by for the handoff to Endeavour's onboard computers in about 10 seconds at T-minus 31.
TLS is go for auto sequence start.
Endeavour's computers now controlling.
25. 20. 15.
Sound suppression water system being activated.
10. TLS is go for main engine start.
7, 6, main engine start. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, and liftoff of the Space Shuttle Endeavour, observing the changes of planet Earth.
Roger, roll, Endeavour. Houston now controlling, Endeavour rolling on course for 57-degree inclination, 120 nautical mile orbit. Endeavour already traveling about 300 miles an hour on a course that will have it go northeast above the Atlantic Ocean, parallel to the eastern seaboard of the United States. Endeavour's 3 main engines now back at 2/3 throttle to prepare the spacecraft to pass through the area of maximum air pressure and go supersonic. Endeavour speed now 1,000 miles an hour, 5 miles downrange.
Endeavour, go at throttle up.
Roger, go and throttle up.
Altitude 9 miles. 3 engines now back at full throttle. 1.5 minutes since launch. Endeavour's already burned more than 2.25 million pounds of propellant and weighs less than half of what it did at liftoff. Altitude now 15 miles. Speed 2,100 miles an hour, 15 miles east of the launch pad. Flight controller standing by for burnout and jettison of the twin solid rockets. Good solid rocket booster separation confirmed. Endeavour now 33 miles northeast of the launch pad, altitude 30 miles, speed 2,700 miles an hour.
Endeavour, performance nominal.
Copy, performance nominal.
Endeavour's performance thus far is just as planned.
Endeavour, 2-engine TAL.
Copy, 2-engine tail.
Endeavour could perform a transatlantic landing now if needed. All flight control positions remain go. Altitude 42 miles, 68 miles northeast of the Kennedy Space Center. Speed now 3,600 miles an hour. Endeavour's altitude now 52 miles, 4 minutes since liftoff, 116 miles northeast of the launch pad. Endeavour speed 4,700 miles an hour.
Endeavour, negative return.
Copy, negative return.
Endeavour would no longer return to the Kennedy Space Center for landing at this point. All systems looking very good on board, 3 good engines, good hydraulic and electrical systems. Endeavour's already above most of Earth's atmosphere. And we'll be continuing in stable altitude, accelerating downrange to triple its current speed to reach the 17,400 miles per hour required to reach orbit. Altitude now 57 miles. Endeavour 208 miles east of the Kennedy Space Center. Speed now 7,000 miles an hour. 5 minutes and 20 seconds since launch. And 3 minutes and 10 seconds to go before shutdown of the main engines.
Endeavour, press to ATO.
Copy, press to ATO.
Endeavour, Droop Zaragoza, 109.
Copy, Droop Zaragoza 109.
Endeavour now has enough speed and altitude to reach a lower than planned but safe orbit.
Press to MECO.
Copy, press to MECO.
And to reach its planned orbit in the event of an engine problem. 3 main engines continuing to work well at full throttle. Good hydraulic and electrical systems.
Endeavour, single engine Zaragoza, 104.
Copy,
Copy, single engine Zaragoza 104.
Altitude now 62 nautical miles, 355 miles east of the launch pad. Endeavour speed now 10,300 miles an hour. Seven minutes since launch, 1.5 minutes to main engine cutoff. Altitude 61 miles, 450 miles east of the Kennedy Space Center. Endeavour speed now 11,000 miles an hour.
Endeavour single engine press 104.
Copy, single engine press 104.
Endeavour could reach its planned orbit with only one engine if need be. All three engines continue to work well at full throttle. Speed now 12,500 miles an hour. Three engines now throttling back to prevent the shuttle from experiencing forces in excess of that of 3 times Earth's gravity. Speed now 13,600 miles an hour, 600 miles northeast of the Kennedy Space Center. Speed now 15,000 miles an hour, 650 miles northeast of the Kennedy Space Center. Three engines at 2/3 throttle. 20 seconds to main engine cutoff. Endeavour speed 16,400 miles an hour. Booster officer confirms a good cutoff of the main engines, right on time. Standing by now for jettison of the external tank. Booster officer confirms a good jettison of the external fuel tank.
Endeavour Houston, we see a nominal MECO, ohms 1 not required. You have a go for the ET photo DTO.
Roger, that's in work.
Endeavour's crew has to go to maneuver the spacecraft in a position that will allow them to photograph the jettisoned external fuel tank as it loses altitude below Endeavour. Endeavour is currently in an orbit with a high point of 114 nautical miles and a low point of 32 nautical miles. It will continue to coast out towards the high point of its current orbit, that 114 nautical mile point. At that time, in just about 25 minutes from now, or about 35 minutes since launch, Endeavour will fire its orbital maneuvering system engines to circularize its orbit at an altitude of 120 nautical miles required for the Space Radar Laboratory.
Endeavour Houston, coming to you through the east satellite.
Dan, we've got you loud and clear, Ken.
You the same, Sid.
This is Mission Control. Houston Endeavour is now passing just off the coast of Greenland as it begins a trek out across the Atlantic Ocean. Again, on board clocks are counting down to a firing of both orbital maneuvering system engines upcoming in just about 22 minutes that will circularize Endeavour into a 120 nautical mile high orbit.
In Houston Endeavour, we're looking at some elevated temps on APU-2.
Roger, Endeavour. Max is taking a look at it. Endeavour Houston, for Chile, we'd like you to try controller Bravo on System 2.
Okay, Taco, I've switched to controller Bravo on System 2.
Endeavour Houston, for Chile, we'd like you to go ahead and work the shutdown on APU-2. We don't see any cooling with the B controller either.
Okay, we're going to shut down APU-2 at this time per the pocket.
Roger, we concur with that action.
This is Mission Control Houston. That call by the crew was about auxiliary power unit number 2, one of 3 auxiliary power units that generate power for the hydraulic systems on board the spacecraft. Mechanical systems officer is evaluating a condition where cooling was not seen for that auxiliary power unit as it continued to run after launch. The auxiliary power units are only used during the launch and landing of the spacecraft. The other 2 auxiliary power units are operating well with no problems.
APU-2 shutdown is complete.
Roger, Chile, and you have a go to shut down APUs 1 and 3 in that order with the 5-second interval.
Okay, Taco, I understand you want me to do 1 first, then 3.
That's affirmative. Since we got 2 down first, we'll get another DTO data point by doing 1, then 3.
Okay, copy. It's in work.
Again, on board, the crew's now shutting down the remaining auxiliary power units. That lack of cooling on auxiliary power unit number 2 that was reported by the crew is preliminarily believed to be possibility of ice involved in the water spray boiler system of freezing up during ascent. And again, it's still being evaluated by the mechanical systems officer. The auxiliary power units are not used while the shuttle is on orbit. We're now about a little less than 18 minutes away from ignition of Endeavour's orbital maneuvering system burn. That will put the spacecraft into a 120 nautical mile circular orbit for observations with the Space Radar Laboratory 1.
Endeavor, APU shutdown is complete.
Endeavor Houston, we copy.
Houston Endeavor, we can't get the A12 steps before 105 because we're waiting for the ET photo DTO to complete back there. Do we have a go to 105 and get those A12 steps in a couple minutes?
We're checking on that.
Say again, Ken?
Endeavor Houston, Sid, you have a go for that as you called it. You can go ahead and go to 105 now.
Thank you.
Endeavour now crossing the coast of England as it completes a trek across the Atlantic Ocean. 20 minutes have passed since launch on board. Countdown remains about 15 minutes until ignition for Endeavour's orbital maneuvering system engines to circularize the spacecraft into a 120 nautical mile high orbit. We will not be in communications with Endeavour during that engine firing, however, as it will move out of range.
And we like your onboard OMS 2 targets. You've got to go to load them.
Thank you.
As again, Endeavour will move out of range of our communications satellite system in about 13.5 minutes. We should regain communications with the spacecraft just a couple of minutes after the burn has been completed.
Houston Endeavor, the ET doors are coming closed.
Roger, Endeavor, we'll be watching. Endeavor Houston, coming to you UHF only, we believe. We like the solution on board for OMS 2.
Roger, thank you. And we're reading you loud and clear.
Roger.
Houston Endeavor, ET doors are closed and latched.
Endeavor Houston, we copy and concur. Endeavor, Houston.
Go ahead, Houston.
Sid, just some words on our comm coverage coming up. We're going to lose you from the east satellite at an MET of about 34 minutes. We will have a Diego pass that will run from 39 minutes roughly through 46 minutes. And then we'll have AOS with the west satellite at about 50 minutes MET.
Okay, and we copied all of that.
This is Mission Control Houston. We're 2 minutes away from ignition of an orbital maneuvering system engine firing by Endeavor. That will put the spacecraft into a 121 nautical mile circular orbit. And we'll lose communications with Endeavor prior to the beginning of that engine firing. However, we'll lose communications with the spacecraft in just about 45 seconds or so as it moves out of range of our satellite system. Once we lose communications, we should pick up the shuttle again. And
Houston, we see you in a good configuration for the burn.
Thank you, Houston.
in about 15 minutes when it again moves within range of the western tracking satellite. In this engine firing will be by both of Endeavor's orbital maneuvering system engines. They'll be fired for a total of about 1 minute and 42 seconds to put the spacecraft into a circular orbit with an altitude of 121 nautical miles. And Endeavor is now moving out of communications range. We will pick up communications with the spacecraft before that 15-minute period. Rather, we'll pick it up in just about 5 minutes when it moves over a ground tracking station located in the Indian Ocean. We'll have communications with it there for about 5 minutes before it again moves out of range for a few minutes before moving back underneath the satellite tracking system. All activities on board are going well with the liftoff being perfectly normal. The mechanical systems officer and the crew both reported somewhat high temperatures on one of the 3 auxiliary